are you creating your reality? Are you creating it through a coherent state or a decoherent state? Well, today we're going to talk about the sacred essence of polarity and how polarity allows us to experience many versions of ourselves through the essence of a coherent or a decoherent state of being. So if you would like to know a little bit more from my lens through the 0 point experience as my baseline, then stick around and let's explore this journey together. Welcome to Pi Sovereign Signature, the 0 point experience through me edition, where true coherent experiences become the frequency where one feels resonant to, attuned to. Welcome to Pi Sovereign Signature, the 0 point experience through me edition, where I am going to give you a sense of understanding through my baseline as operating and expressing from a sense of neutrality of my 0 point state. And the reason why I am deciding to move from this perspective is to give a more simplistic sense of understanding on how it is that we do create our reality all the time. And then it will also allow us to be a little bit more conscious about how we're creating the reality. Once I give you some sense of understanding from a simplistic sense of understanding on what we do every single day that chooses how the reality is going to take shape and form by our chosen state to be, right? And notice that I use this word choice a lot. And I remember, back some years ago when Kanye used to say, it's a choice. And it just goes to show you how long, ago his blueprint of his sovereign self came online. And even though at the time I didn't understand that what that meant, but there was a somatic sense of understanding that knew what that meant. And I'm like, yeah, that means something. And I held on to it and now I get it. So we're going to talk a little bit of how we create our reality and why a lot of the realities look the way that they do or express in the manner to which they express. Because are you expressing from a coherent state or are you expressing from a decoherent state? And that is the true essence of what brings the what we talk about so often is polarity. So stick around so that we can begin to dive deep into how are we creating so that we could become consciously aware to begin to pick, choose, and refuse. So in most of the original narrations of the storylines that are given to us, we understand things from a descensional state, right? Everything, heaven, earth, high, as above, as below. So we move into the essence of ascension and descension. It's high, it's low, or we're going through a particular type of levels or what I would like to call transitional phases or shifts. But for the most part, we understand things from a level perspective, from an ascension to a descension or a descension back up into an ascension, right? So these are the typical words that we normally, that people are actually more familiar with. And I'm going to kind of stick to it, but I'm also going to reintroduce you guys to what it is that I call shifts, right? That we shift in and out of states of being by how we choose to experience and express by what we internalize through perception. So our perception energetically, the energy that holds that perception, it's what's going to determine how this experience is going to convey itself and project itself for the essence of you, the soul essence of you, to be able to experience it, right? And I'm going to bring this down to a more practical sense of understanding, but always remember that, you know, on this channel, it is more from a quantum mechanics or a metaphysical perspective. And I just try to simplify it in a way where we all can have a sense of understanding the dynamics of how it could potentially go. Now, there are some other variations of ways that this information can be introduced. But through my lens and at my 0 point baseline, I have a tendency of taking practical things and simplifying it so that you can make an association and assimilation through everyday things that we already do. And then now we can begin to make a conscious choice, right? And a sense of awareness of how we are choosing to be. And I think that is the most important thing. And I know a lot of times what happens is that we look at things the way that it was introduced to us through, you know, I don't want to say religion, but different things of that nature. But it has always been in a polarized sense of understanding. You got the heavens at the top, and then you got the hell at the bottom. And so the energetic charge that we understand these in is that the bottom is the lowest and is the most feared, and the highest is the heavens is the freedom, right? The freedom to be. And so that's how, and there is some truth to it. But remember, when we move from a coherent state and we descend, and I'm using that in terms of that's the way that we understand it. I like to say shift, but I'm going to constantly reintroduce shift because it's really a shift. Even though we say dissension, it's really a shift from one state to the next, right? But, you know, just to start out, I'm going to say descend, right? So, you know, we have this essence of 0 point, the neutral you, the neutralized you, and we start off at the 0 point. And so now we have an essence of coherency. And then so if you look at the yin and the yang, you got the light, you got the dark, right? You got the light looking at, you know, and it's moving. It's not a straight line, right? It's like a curvature, right? Okay. And so you have this essence of energy, okay, of self that can, that can take shape, that can take form, and it can transform, and it can shift into many different variations and states of beings by how we choose to be, by how we understand the dynamics of what we are internalizing, right? And the energy that is either presented in and we agree to take on the onset of that energy that it was presented in, or how we internally feel about ourselves, the energy that is within ourselves. So these are the motivating factors that allows for realities to begin to take shape and form through our lens, through our essence, to how we understand it. And so therefore, this is why, you know, to give you an example, that you can have several different relationships, right? But you're going to find the same person in a different vessel, because everything is pretty much more of the energy or how you're perceiving reality, that you're going to now begin to attract the same type of energy to create similar energetic experiences, even through a different vessel, because it is how you, the person, is seeing yourself from an internal state. So that is why the question is asking, you know, how are you creating your reality, right? How are you creating? Are you creating the reality in a coherent state of being, or are you creating reality in a decoherent state? And these two aspects of what we think that is separate from each other, it's not separate from each other. It actually exists in the same essence of being. It's that we shift from a higher velocity of light that is moving at a faster rate. And then the density, right, as you go into decoherence, as you slow it down, like you're decreasing speed, right? Decoherent, coherent, decoherent, you're decreasing the speed. And this is just for us to be able to understand it from a visual perspective. You're decreasing the speed, and so now you have this decoherent state. But what the decoherent state is, this is what things get a little interesting, right? The decoherent state, by perception, is a slower state to be, because it allows for things to take shape, take form energetically, where we can begin. The light is not moving so fast, and now you can begin to see and project. But what the decoherent state allows, also give permission to be, is where some essences of distortion can come into commencement, right? Because now you can, change little things, because things is moving a lot slower. It's not moving as fast. So now you can kind of manipulate little things. And this is where, because we're moving at a slower rate of light, in order to come into the denser state of being, to be able to have the formation of experience, right? The information of experience, to be informed, right? So inform, right? So now we are getting the information, but we're getting the information in a slower light. And so that slower light leaves room for things to kind of like move differently, right? Because it's not moving as fast. And so you can have the ability to distort. And so decoherent light and coherent light is not bad. When you hear me say decoherent, don't think that, oh, that's bad, that's negative, or whatever the case may be. No, it's just coherent light moves faster than decoherent light. Decoherent light allows for things to have visibility, so that you can see yourself informed. You can see, what's going on behind me and different things of that nature. It slows things down vibrationally, so that we can have the perception of, having a real reality, right? And so, but in the process of that, different things can take place in the middle of it being, because it's operating from a slower rate. And this is where now the decoherent side of self allows for the polarity to commence, right? It allows for the distortions and different things to commence, and different things of that nature, because now we're moving at a slower pace of light quotient. And so therefore now things can kind of take place at a slower pace, because it's moving slower than that to which you operate from a more fluid or coherent state. So coherent and decoherent is, just to simplify it, one is fast, one is slow, right? And so we're going to move into the next phase of understanding how we are creating our reality. How are you creating your reality? So stay tuned. So how are you creating your reality? So as I was explaining in the last segment, you have the coherent state and you have the decoherent state. And the decoherent state allows for the ability for formation to take place, so that we can have the perception of physical experiences, a more grounded experiences, the material world, material things, the cars, the planes, the houses, the biological aspect of being. Everything is slowed down enough so that the faster side of self can experience itself and see itself and mirror itself, right? And so therefore we begin to see reflections of ourselves. So the thing about you, me, I, everyone, we all are cut from the same energetic cloth, right? I know that, the illusion of separation says otherwise, but, from an energetic perspective, and this is why I'm saying energetic, because, the storyline that we identify with, that is cultivated in our DNA, that compels us to be able to have these particular templates to be able to experience, is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I don't want to take away from that aspect, because as much as I used to give the illusion of separation such a hard time, it's actually a beautiful orchestrated gift. Okay. The only thing about it is that, that if I were to even say anything about it, is that, when you're in the density for, a longer period of time, it is perceived that you forget, right? You forget about the other aspects of being able to experience other realities in a more coherent state, right? Because it's moving, the decoherent state is moving so slow, right? So it allows for a lot of, distortions to commence in the midst of that, okay? And so the distortions now is what, triggers the sympathetic value of the nervous system. And this is where I was talking about in my last video, that the nervous system, the survival state of nervous system, is a genius mechanism of your nervous system, the sympathetic part of your nervous system, that it protects the soul essence light from major friction, right? And so therefore, even though you're in that drag or that perceived essence of density, the sympathetic aspect of your nervous system comes on to protect the light quotient that is within, or the essence or the soul essence that is operating itself to experience itself in form. Okay. So I want to bring that out there, and this is the metaphysical side, and I'm going to get practical, but I want people to understand how you create your own reality. The essence of you, that even when you're not speaking, you hear conversations going on within yourself, that soul essence of you, okay, the true you, okay, that they tell you don't answer back. That's you. That's the soul essence of you. So it protects that inner light that is within you, that has kind of somewhat, compressed itself to experience reality in a more denser state of being. And in a denser state, this is like still water. When you have water that appears to be still, the distortions like different types of bacteria, different types of, different things, disease and different things that nature can commence, right? Because it's appearing that it's moving slow, it's not flowing, and it doesn't have the essence of fluidity. But when you're moving at a faster pace of light, then disease doesn't have time to set in, right? Because it's moving so fast. There's no room to distort anything. There's no room for no fungus to grow. There's no room, because things are just moving in such a rapid pace, in essence, and frequency, right? There is no room for anything to, create an essence of distortion. And this is why they say in a coherent state, you have a lot of more clarity. And in a decoherent state, there's a potential of a lot of brain fog and different things of that nature, right? Where there is not a lot of clarity, right? And so therefore you have to seek outside the circumference of certain things. And then you bring, you're trying to figure it out, on your own, within your own accord for a lot of us, right? And so this is how we begin to, follow the breadcrumbs of selves. And we those who are still moving from decoherence, not necessarily distortion, but decoherence. This is how we get anchored into these stories. Because remember, you're going to get anchored into all of these plethora of stories, even the things that are stored within the template of our DNA. You're going to get anchored into the story based off of how you see yourself, where you are at, what you have chosen that has cultivated your life into the belief system, right? That you are believing, which holds an energetic charge. And the thing about the sympathetic nervous system that's holding on to those charges, those positive charges, is that, this is the part is to protect the soul essence from the density, but you can release it. And a lot of ways to release it. We're going to talk about, the negative ions and different things of that nature. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Okay. So that it helps and the grounding, right? To help release those charges. But this is from an energetic perspective of how you energetically create your reality. And your mindset, your mental state, what has cultivated you, that's running the show. That's what energetically is running the show, and is drawing in all men unto you energetically in that respect, that vibrational state, the experiences are also coming in to present itself in that same energy. To give you a different idea, it's a saying that, we could sit here and say, oh, we want a nice guy. Or, for us girls, right? For us women that like, nice guys, and we want a nice guy, and we want to be wine and dine and, X, Y, and Z. And then when a nice guy shows up, oh, he ain't thug enough. He's a simp, he's a wimp, or whatever the case may be, right? It's like so you want a nice guy, but the energy that comes along, the more coherent energy that comes along is not a vibrational, you're not attuned to that. So that's why it's a turn off, right? That's why the nice guy essence, appears to be what it is to some degree from an energy. I ain't talking about personality, an energetic essence. Right? An energetic essence, you're not attuned to that to which you are mouthing. You're mouthing because when you actually get in the room with someone that holds that essence of vibrational accord, it doesn't mesh, right? So it's how you are attuning. How are you attuning your vibration? Are you attuning to, that's why the embodiment is really, I'm talking about the embodiment. You got to become what it is that you want to experience. You want to experience a nice guy, well, you got to be a nice girl, okay? You want to experience a nice girl, well, you got to be a nice guy. You know what I'm saying? You got to have this level of energy that is compatible enough in a sense of essence of similarity, so that it can, align or shift in synchronization, right? So that you can have a synchronized experience with other versions of selves, right? So yeah, how are you creating your reality? Look around, take a look at what is going on in your life and how you see it. I had, my daughter tell me that money matters. Money matters. You gotta have money. And I cannot say to her that that's not true, because that is the energy, that's the storyline, that's what the energetic anomaly that she has chosen to experience, and that's what she has anchored to. See, the thing about it is when you anchor to stuff, right? When you anchor to it, that really is what holds on to the charge in decoherence, right? And this is where now the sympathetic aspect of the nervous system shifts into survival to protect the essence of the essence of the soul, right? The energy of the soul. Okay. And that's why I say it is done in love. Survival is done in love. Well, everything is done in love from my lens, right? And so therefore, once upon a time, I didn't look at it from that perspective. But now I do, because I have moved more into where my baseline is that of neutrality, right? And a lot of people might say, well, Patrice, neutrality is where you don't have love, you don't have this, but you have coherence, right? Coherence, however you get to the coherent state of being, right? And so for me, it feels like love. It feels like a fluid sense of love. It feels like compassion. It feels freeing. It feels liberating, right? Because you're not allowing certain realities to anchor you into positions energetically that you do not wish to experience, right? So I can associate that and assimilate that to love consciousness. But we're going to continue to move forward, because I want us to really think about how we are creating our reality. Is it coherent or is it in decoherence? All right, so stay tuned. So we are in the human experience. And so the human experience is in a position now where we are in form and we're operating energetically, right, from what they call a decoherent state of being, right? Which placed us in survival, right? And we normalized survival. We normalized it. We speak it as if it's a being, we are surviving. The hustle culture and everything, we have normalized it. And the only reason why we normalized it is because we became fixed in the reality and it became normal in our perception. But when you come out of the fixed reality and you realize that it's just another part of me, it's just another part of you to be able to experience and express, and it's not the only part, okay? And so therefore you begin to understand that there are other vibrational states that are no longer in the fixed reality, that are no longer decoherent, that one can choose, right? And so therefore we begin to start picking and choosing and looking at realities, no matter how affluent or politically correct or normalized these particular realities have become in a decoherent state. We choose coherence because it's where the original divine template comes from. This is your original template, right? Your coherent state, operating from, or understanding yourself from a 0 point to clear, as I said, the cache, so that you can begin to plug into realities that is more attuned or aligned to that to which you want to be, and bring your nervous system out of sympathetic back into parasympathetic aspect of being, where your nervous system now is feeling safe enough to recognize these coherent experiences, to be safe experiences, to partake in, and to create and to project out into the reality. And like I said, these are, everything is energy, okay? Everything is energy, right? But there's nothing wrong with being in a decoherent state. It's just understanding what decoherence affords us in terms of experiences and realities. And when we sit down and we fix our mind, if you're in a fixed state of consciousness and saying this is the only way because it has been this way for years, and it is, of course, it's the one thing about energy is going to create, and it's going to create a real reality because it is real energy, okay? It's real frequencies, okay? So it's going to create a real reality. So it's going to appear to be extremely real because real energy is creating it. So no one is going to say to you that it's not real. If you are the essence, the soul essence that has cultivated and created this reality, your reality, into how you are perceiving it and understanding it, you are real energy. You are real energy creating this perceptionary measure to experience. So yes, it is real to you until you decide to change that and create another reality in a different vibrational state of frequency, state of self, to which you have the ability to shift into. We always talk about shape shifting and different things of that nature, and we understand that from a negative connotation, but we shift all the time. Now, does it necessarily change? Well, sometimes it do change how your appearance, because some people are not even aging, okay, because they have determined to move them, without even having any type of plastic surgery. Well, I won't say that they're not aging, but they don't appear to be, okay? And they haven't had any type of enhancements or anything done to them. And they look youthful, okay? And so, the distortion that allows in decoherence. Oh, she's a vampire. Oh, she's a reptilian. Oh, and all of these stories, believe it or not, whether you are seeing it or not seeing it, because some people worlds, they don't experience it. And in other people worlds, they do experience it. It's all on you. How are you creating your reality? As I sit here today, I realize that I'm creating my reality, even though I may not like a lot of things that I'm creating. And I understand that, my biology went through a havoc because of how I chose to be, whether I was in, the state of remembrance or not. It still was a divine choice for me to come in a veiled sense of understanding, to experience a decoherent state. And all that came along with an essence of being in decoherence, especially, some of the stories that are distorted to a degree, right? That's all built by design, right? For us to experience. It still gives us choice, right? But when you awaken, when your original blueprint comes online, and when you awaken and you're able to see all of this for what it is, it changes the game. It really do change the game. So now I'm sitting up here like twiddle-dee, twiddle-dum, like, okay, shit, I know, but then, my biology is like, okay, sis, I get it. I get it. I know you are aware now. Your template done came online. Your blueprint done came online. But girl, you was into your decoherent state for a period of time. The sympathetic aspect of the nervous system had to protect me energetically from a lot of the friction that comes along with the perception of being in density, right? So it had to protect me from that and throughout this, whole process. And so this is where, the biology, has the potential of, getting sick and not feeling well and having all these pains and going through the hospital and all this other kind of stuff because, these are the signals, that the sympathetic nervous system is saying, okay, it's like going to the hospital and they run all of your checks, right? They run all of your blood work and everything. And they come back and they say, well, according to how we understand it through the biology, ain't really nothing wrong with you from a physiological perspective because all of your labs done came back. But you like, well, I feel like crap and my whole entire, that's your nervous system, sympathetic aspect of your nervous system protecting you. And it's releasing the energy into the biology of your vessel. But so much of that continuously is what deteriorates the biology, okay? For long periods of time, right? And so therefore, but you go to the hospital and you like, I don't want these people to think that I'm a hypochondriac or whatever the case may be because you place yourself in such a stressful environment and different things of that nature. And this is why I say earlier that I have grace with my biology because now I understand by operating and choosing to operate from a decoherent state, which afforded the opportunity for distorted perceptions of realities to commence that placed, my biology through perception in survival, and for my biology to have still held up for as long as it did under those particular types of duress, I'm grateful. I'm very grateful, and I give my biology grace. I give it grace. It's going to take, a minute, okay? It's going to take a few minutes for it to, really start to become acclimated to what it is that I have chosen in terms of my blueprint coming online to the coherent state of being. So yes, how are you creating your reality? What are you believing in? A lot of people are operating from, a threat-based reality, and they feel threatened by the smallest of things. Even when there is no imminent threat there, if they see you and they have been cultivating you, like I had a situation where no matter how clean a person comes and, they are no threat, if that person is still operating in a sympathetic state, and it doesn't matter if you are, 20 degrees, you are the top scientist of the science lab and, you're a physicist or whatever the case may be. It's if you are operating in a decoherent state and that decoherence has allowed for the room for distorted experiences to come into the equation that you have energetically anchored to, right? And you're holding that electrical charge to those realities and has activated your sympathetic nervous system, then yeah, you go and look at things that may not even be a threatening situation. You may see it as a threat, okay? You may see it as a threat. And does that make it wrong? No, it doesn't. It doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it wrong. It make it a choice in how you are choosing to cultivate, and experience your reality, okay? Because I'm placing the soul empowerment back onto the being, right? The being, okay? That's what the blueprint, when your original blueprint comes back into, when it comes back online, you don't blame nobody else, right? You do not blame anybody else. You take full accountability and responsibility for how your waking life, right, in form is commencing, even with understanding the biology, right? But we're going to continue with this understanding of how are you creating your reality? How are you creating your reality? Every day when you get up, go to work, whatever, we're going to talk about it. So stay tuned. So, how are you creating your reality? This is a segment where we're now going to become a little bit more practical in the sense of understanding what it is that I'm saying. So you get up and you have your day-to-day and you're going to work. And some of us is looking at the reality and saying that, oh, doesn't get no better than what it is that I'm actually doing. And if you say that, then that's going to be a truth. Now, where does that fall at? Is that a coherent state or a decoherent state? Well, it starts off where you are saying, I am choosing to experience and express, create, experience, and express from decoherent. The state of decoherence, then now, because the state of decoherence said, I'm done slowed it down to form. All it did is slowed it down, right? Where now you can have a time-space continuum, right? To be able to now take shape and form, right? So the decoherent state, to which a lot of people, I think, is correlating it to the fourth dimensional, where time and space actually comes into commencement, right? Okay, so now you're getting to that fourth dimensional state where now you got time and you got, space or whatever, where it can now, you could now embody what has been created in the infinite version of you, okay? What has been created in the infinite version of you, okay? So now you are, like I said, coherent, decoherent. Decoherence is just simply a slowdown. Slow down, ooh, okay? I can't take the heat, slow down. So it's just a slowed down version, right? But as you slow down, now you can see stuff, right? You can see things that probably ain't even there because you done slow down. You done slow down. And so now, you got things that now you can actually see, right? Because things are now in the position to take shape and form. So it's a slow version to you. Now, when you slow it down, as I say, this is where now distortions can have the potentials, right? Distorted views can have the potentials to commence. And so this is where we have so many variations of frequency bandwidths that creates these distorted realities for us to anchor and choose an anchor. And so we carry around, once we're slowed down, we carry around these energetically charged realities that spike our sympathetic aspect of our nervous system. Okay? All right. So fine. So now we're pick, choosing, and refusing and different things of that nature, right? And we're just like when, you have timelines that, have the race card and then we have timelines that have the gender cards. And then we have the timeline that, all of these many different, distorted perceptions of experiences, right? That holds this negative charge, right? That holds this positive charge, I should say, right? And it stays within our biology, okay? And so therefore, we're walking around now attracting these particular types of experiences because we're holding these charges, right? We're holding all of these charges that has been created with these narratives that we're holding on to, okay? And that's the difference. That is the difference. So now you're holding on to these charges, right, of these narratives, and the origin of the charge of the story, because we're not looking at, how is this story energetically charged? Is it charged? There's a positive, and is activating my sympathetic nervous system, and this is why I can't, seem to get to the next level. It's because of the energy charges that I'm holding on to based off of how I'm choosing to believe into these narratives. My name Paul. My name Bennett. I ain't in it. Okay. Well, could be not. Okay. So these are the things that you begin to now when your original blueprint comes online, and you're operating from your sovereign state. You're now aware. You're more aware than not. Okay, and so you're now going to begin to pick stories and to pick situations far much more carefully now than that before. Okay, you're going to be able to see things a little bit more, and you're not going to. And the thing about it is that even with friendships, relationships, any type of ships, because remember, ships is what ride waves, right? This is why they call them ships: relationship, friendship, partnerships, because it ride waves of energy. But what wave of energy, right, is your ship riding? Okay, is it in a coherent or a decoherent state? Okay, so you are, as the vessel, right, is going to now to determine what type of ship, energetic ship, you want to positively charge your nervous system. The thing about it is that you can have these positive and negative charges, but are you going to anchor into these states? And this is what I was talking about in the last couple of videos, is about anchoring into these experiences. It's not to say that you're not to experience experiences, but experiences that place your nervous system into a sympathetic, constant sympathetic state of being, where it has to be anchored down to protect the soul essence of you, right? This is what, unfortunately, because there are blessings in every lesson, right? Is what keeps you in survival state, where you now got to become a millionaire. You got to do a hustle culture, or you go into an industry where in order to become a millionaire, you have to have accessibility. And so the survival of that, you have to survive that industry. Everybody talks about the entertainment industry and how you have to survive. And they even put out surviving this person, surviving that person, right? They puts it out. And so think about that positive energy charge that has frozen you into this reality, and you have said yes and anchored down to it. And now everything around your life is in that frozen state. That's where the thing frozen, but I digress, right? You're in that frozen state, right? And so you're cultivating realities based off of your choice to be in that state. So how are you creating? And we're going to get into it. So now a more practical sense of understanding, because like I said, we're going to get into it in terms of the decoherent state and the coherent state. And when I made reference about the entertainment and different things of that nature, when I made reference in regards to that, we all know that these particular genres, hold its own, it has its own identifiable essence. And I used a celebrity the other day as an example of when they chose to move in a more coherent state. They got divorced, right? They severed contracts, right? And they still became labeled in the decoherent state. And this is where now, as I said, in the decoherent essence of being, it allows for distortion to take commencement. So then they became labeled, delusional. They had issues and different things of that nature. But as I say, when your blueprint come online, right, your original blueprint come online, you start severing ties. And what that means is that you don't move in anger, right? You don't move in, well, at least I should say, I don't move in anger. I don't move in vengeance. You just separate, because you realize that the beings that are still choosing to hold that charge to that reality have a right to experience in that space. And if I do not want to, participate in that essence or have the effect that takes me out of the true authenticity of self and how I want to experience and express, it's up to me. It's up to me to make that choice to move out of the experience, right? Not to force somebody else, if you love me, you'll change. No, change comes from within. It has to be, in my most humblest of opinion, it has to be an internal thing, and it has to be something that is chosen. One has to choose to want to shift and change a reality. Otherwise, it's It's a facade, right? It's not going to last. It's not going to hold. It's not going to stick. It's not going to anchor, because anything that you really do not really want to experience or what have you, you're not going to really anchor to it. You're not going to really anchor to it. To give you an example of a personal story, me and my daughter began to talk about certain things, and it was a celebrity, this athlete celebrity, that I had never heard of before, but this athlete celebrity had started to make news, right? And so the more and more I start hearing about her, through the lens of how can I say, decoherence, right? I had to stop and ask myself, what anchored me to this reality? What was it in her that was in myself that allowed for me to anchor into this reality, right? Okay. So I had to sit down and do a hard analogy of how did I get into this space? Because here I am, a person that really is into another side of expression, right? A different type of expression, a shifted perspective, right? And I found myself feeling sorry for this young lady initially, okay? Saying that, she wasn't, just got all caught up in the rapture of love, got caught up in the rapture of this particular energy vortex, because there was something that was operating from a decoherent state within myself, right? That may not have had the same exact experience, but was energetically aligned. And because there was some sense of relatability, even though the stories in itself wouldn't identify to say that we had the same story or the same upbringing or the same exact experience, but it was something that was within that origin of expression that still aligned with me at that time energetically, to the point where something caught hook, line, and sunk me into that vortex. Okay. So I'm listening to this story, and I'm getting more and more involved. And this, now mind you, this is not my personal story. This person ain't had nothing to do with my reality. And then it just got into this stage where, everything became about this person. And this person still has, viral moments to this day. It's just, a spiral. So I said to myself, I'm like, okay. And then it began to, at first, where it was like, I felt sorry and this and that or whatever. And I was like, and that was the first hook. That was the first, yes, I got you. I got you. I got you. That was the first hook. I felt sorry, right? Having, that was an agreement to the story, because I found something that made me feel sorry for this person, or whatever the case may be, instead of remaining neutral and allowing that experience to be what it was, because it was definitely chaotic. It was definitely full of, confusion. And I felt sorry for the person. And then it just started mounting from there. And then all of a sudden, things in my reality started to shift, because here it was. I allowed this energy to anchor within my being. So now I'm sending a signal out saying, yes, I would like more experiences similar to this one to commence in my reality. So now you're getting people that's coming into your reality. And here it is now, my true essence of origin. I'm this metaphysical person, blah, 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 la, 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 and everything. And the people that, because I allowed this situation to anchor, the people that was actually now coming into my space, they weren't on that type of time. They didn't want to hear what I had to say, because they were not necessarily in the same energetic, but I had then drawn myself into that energy. I was coming into that territory. They were not coming into my territory. I was coming into that territory. Okay. So here it is now. They ain't trying to hear the metaphysical side of, or the coherent side. Look at that. Well, what the hell are you talking about? Well, we still in Jesus land, and he died physically on the cross and all this other kind of stuff. And we still in the political world. Are you a Republican or a Democrat? And I said, and that in itself was like, oh, snap. What thou art has done, okay? To self, okay? And I was like, oh, wrong timeline, wrong time to go. That was when I realized, yeah, no. And the thing of it is, it's like, I understood instantly that this was nobody's doing but my own. Right? I did it because I chose to agree to a narrative that was operating from a decoherent state of being. It wasn't coherent, it was decoherent. And then it also has, like I said, room for distortionary, perspectives of expressions to also commence. So I had done freely gave myself permission to be in that vortex. And so therefore reality started to come energetically aligned in that space. And I would sit and I would, watch videos, and look at this stuff, and I would say, this is not me. This is not me. And then I found myself having to take breaks from that reality. And I'm like, if I got to take breaks from the reality just to recoup, then that's not me. So when your original blueprint comes online, okay, you're less tolerant to a lot of things, and you do not blame anybody for your choice to be, because you begin to understand where you made the choice for that energy to come into commencement, anchor into your essence, create. Instead of operating from a parasympathetic aspect, it's still operating from a sympathetic aspect, because it gave you a positive energy charge, electrical charge. Right? And so now you're drawing all kind of people that with different narrative, different stories, but it operates in the same vortex of energetic charge. And they're from all walks of different types of, experiences. Okay? And then you're wondering why you can't have a conversation with your significant other in the manner to which you normally would be able to have a conversation. Or, this is not happening in the manner to which it was, because somewhere in the midst of it, you have agreed to experience this energetic vortex where you're holding a positive charge, sending a signal, a distress signal or whatever signal. I don't really want to call it distress, but you're sending a signal saying that these are the stories that I want to experience. Okay? So when I say, how are you creating your reality? I realized that I created that whole shifted energetic experience just by that one storyline that was still remnants within my being that was easily able to capture me. But the thing of it is that it didn't sustain, because that was not my true essence. That's not my true place of origin. And because I have been operating from my original blueprint for a little while now, and my nervous system has now become a little bit more stabilized and integrated back into my original blueprint through remembrance, I was able to make an assessment as to where I made the choice, right? And how that choice came into commencement, okay? By taking ownership and responsibility, not saying, that, because somebody introduced me to this story, blah, 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 this is the reason why X, Y, and Z. No, because it still is a choice. I could be introduced to somebody or anything and still not choose to engage, right? And so there was, so these are some of the things. And this is why a lot of times, it's not that I don't want to help or I don't want to do things, but I always say that a storyline that comes to me in a sense of obligation, I don't participate. And the reason why I don't participate, it's not because I don't want to give, or it's not because I don't want to assist. But if I am assisting and someone is trying to make me feel obligated to move in a sense, I understand that that is a decoherent essence of expression to operate from. And then now the feeling of obligation is a distorted perception of it. That's where the distortion comes in at. So now I am now being positively electrically charged through a distorted sense of being that is going to trigger my survival state, right? In my nervous system. Because now I'm feeling that, I'm feeling pressure to do something, or I'm feeling obligated to do something. And so it's contracting, right? It's contracting. And so anytime you're contracting or it don't feel like you're expanding, so now your nervous system is like, oh, is there mayday? Is there an issue? And in your sympathetic aspect, I'm feeling this electrical charge, this positive electrical charge to this energetic experience here. So mayday, what's going on? Because it's not going to look at the narrative of the story. This is why I don't move in a sense of obligation. So yes, how are you creating your reality? But this is where I want to bring the heavens to the earth, right? And the earth to the heavens, because it's all one. As they say, as above, so below, to imply and to insist that it's all one. It's no separation. Okay? There is no separation, right? But I'm going to end this beautiful video on this note. I think that it's a beautiful way to end and to take ownership and responsibility of how you are creating your reality in essence of awareness from an energetic lens with some sense of practicality, because we know practical ways. And I'm going to bring more of a practical sense of understanding, but I also want to bring what we've been missing for so long in the foundation. And that's the energy perceptionary measures of how these things actually commence to begin with. Okay. And so that's why, you're going in this segment of, the 0 point, experiencing the 0 point through me experience, you're going to hear a lot more of this originally from the beginning, and then we're going to migrate into the practical sense of understanding and how all of that kind of like mixed together. But as I said, I'm going to end this video on this beautiful note. I am so divinely grateful, and thank you guys for all of the love and support that you have been giving me thus far. And like I said, as always, if you like this video, please give me 2 thumbs up, 1 for YouTube and to get me into the algorithm and different things of that nature, so that a lot more beings that are in alignment with what it is that I am saying can have an opportunity to experience this. And the other thumbs up is that because you truly enjoyed it in your heart. So that's just for yourself, between me and you energetically, right? So 2 thumbs up. And if you have any questions or anything that you would like for me to address, or different things of that nature, or if I have the answer, I would definitely give it to you. If I don't have the answer, I don't have a problem with going and figuring it out, right? Just go ahead and drop a comment, even if it's just something simple, however you felt about the video and the transmission. I'm not going to navigate what you should say, but whatever is bestowed upon your heart and truth, go ahead and leave a comment. And if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please do not hesitate to subscribe to this channel to have more of an opportunity to get more raw lived experiences being expressed through my lens of how I understand and perceive and perceptualize my now moment through my 0 point baseline experience through me, because I love being in this space, and I am so grateful to be able to have the ability to articulate it, from this position, right? So subscribe, like, and comment. And once again, thank you for being a part of this process. And don't forget, I do have 2 beautiful ebooks that are in the plate of the experience, called the Genesis Key 1 and 2. And as I've said, I am also working on 3, and I am curating attars, fragrance attars, to also go along with this process of one coming into their original blueprint, where these attars are curated through botanicals, right? Yes, the harmonics of botanicals that they have to age, and it's there to assist with the parasympathetic aspect of your nervous system to begin to place an olfactory essence to regain the nervous system to back into its safety mode. All right, so I got a lot of things going on, and so that's coming soon to us. All right, so it's there for the giving, it's there for the exploration, and like I said, I am so divinely grateful. So with that being said, thank you once again, and we shall see you on the next go around. Thank you. Later. Mm-hmm.